Hey Pinball fans, we're looking at the installation of the Witch 2.0 HD today. We'll give a quick overview of the parts that come with the Witch installation kit, and then we'll look at the actual installation. So of course, as you see right here, you get the flames with the base, and attached is a 3-prong cord, and of course you would get your Witch. This is the Broom version of the Witch, which has the lit eyes, and then of course there's the other version with the lit eyes and hands. That also comes with a 3-prong cord that's attached to it. Along with those in the kit, you're going to get these set of optos. So these are 2 optical sensors, and that's what tells if the Witch is up or down. These are purposely loose in the frame, so you can adjust them, and you'll see that during the installation. And then you just tighten down the 2 nuts that are on the back with the screws on the front to lock them in place. You'll get the controller box, which is labeled, has the 2 3-pin plugs, one for the Witch, one for the flames, and then of course the plugs for the optos, top and bottom, and that coincides with top and bottom of this. On top of all of that, you're going to get a few accessories, some zip ties, some Velcro for mounting the controller box. These are the 2 posts that go on the game to mount the flames, and then you'll get some screws and nuts to mount the optos to the game. So that's everything that comes with the kit, and now we'll look at the installation. Getting started here, you're going to want to remove the old tube and the old metal plate from the existing Witch. So what you're going to have in your game is an assembly like this, which will be inside there, and you'll have this plastic tube held on with a metal plate, probably some nuts holding this guy on. So undo the nuts, one on this side, one on the other side, and then if you can lift the tube out around the walls if you have them, then you can just pull it straight out, and you'll slide this metal plate out. You're going to want to keep the metal plate. We need that for the rest of the installation, but the tube can be tossed, saved. Maybe it's a flower vase or candy dish, I don't know, but you don't need it anymore. So just pull that metal plate out, hang on to it, we'll get back to that. You'll also have a Witch down in that hole. You might want to, before you start this whole thing, turn on the game and make sure the Witch is raised all the way. You can do that in the test menu under device test Witch and use the buttons to raise her up. I think if you turn on the game, she just comes up by herself when the game is in attract mode. So anything to raise her up just makes it a little easier. I covered her face, you don't have to look at it, so I don't have to look at it. And your Witch will be sitting in the hole somewhere around here. You're just going to grab her by the head, not the hat because it's screwed on to the back, but the head or the shoulders, and you're just going to pull it straight up. It's going to be attached. Oops, I dropped her. Let me grab her. Okay. She's going to be attached to this base plate and threaded screw. So you're going to be pulling this whole thing out. So what it will look like, if I put it back in, you can almost do this without looking. There it is. So your Witch will be sitting something like this, maybe a little lower. This is the new one, so yours will be the old one. And you're just going to grab her by the shoulders, whatever, and pull her straight up. And it's going to be a little tough. The threaded rod is in a little motor that moves it up and down, but you can just pull it and it will unscrew from that motor, and right about there it will come loose. You just take it all the way out and we'll get to work on that. The thing you're going to need to do next is unscrew the Witch from the bracket. She'll have 2 screws like that in the back. Unscrew those, take the Witch off. This bracket is also not needed, the one that comes on your original Witch. You're going to unscrew it from the base, a couple screws there, mine has 1, and then just throw that bracket with the Witch somewhere. We don't need it as well. So then you'll just have this base plate, and you're going to take the new Witch and the new bracket that we've provided and install on this base plate just like this. So notice that the orientation is with this little metal tab facing forward. The metal bracket goes back and up to provide room for the witch to sit. Notice that she has some hollow cutouts there. They line up with these for the posts that she's guided by, and just do it in this direction. You're going to want to make sure that when you put these screws in her back that you're careful. Don't crank them down. You're going to strip out the resin that she's made of. It's not meant to have a lot of torque put on them. It's just meant to hold her onto this post here on this bracket. So go gently, just snug. That's all you need. And now you have a finished witch module. You're just going to hang on to this. We're going to install the rest of the upper part first, and then she'll go in. So that metal bracket that you had, you're going to take that and also take these little quick connector fittings that we've made. It has a 1/4 inch hex head on top in case you need to use a tool on it, and these ribs are what keeps the witch attached to it, the base. So you'll just take your metal plate. You probably notice that one side is bashed up. That's where the ball hits it. That goes down, but otherwise the orientation is the tabs are lower than the rest of it. That just goes right back on where it came off, over the screws, posts, threaded posts. And if you have the walls like I do, it can be a little hard to get that one tab in. So you just start it up high and then come down low, and that's how it will sit. And then you'll take those posts and just use your fingers. It should just go right on with finger pressure only. You can screw those guys on, and all you're using that for is to hold this base down. It doesn't need much more than finger tight, although we put the hex head on there just in case you need to use a tool. 6-in-1 screwdriver usually has a 1/4 inch bit on it, a 1/4 inch socket, whatever. You use it for other screws, so you should have one of those. So you can use that to just snug those down or take them off if you need to. Put one on this side where that post is, put one on that side where that post is, and you'll be ready to install the upper portion with the base and the flames. And this is the witch. She was screwed on with 2 screws going into a metal plate that looks something similar to this. You're going to want to take those 2 screws off so you can remove the witch. And you're going to then want to take these 2 screws off that hold the plate. You should have 2. Hold this metal fixture to this base plate here. We've included the new metal plate with yours. It's already drilled to match your witch, and it comes with 2 screws. As you can see, mine are installed here. The installation procedure has to be this plate put on first before the witch is attached, because otherwise you'll have a very tough time putting those screws in. You'll notice that this piece is indicating the witch facing forward. This is what points into the game forward. It's the little indicator or interrupter for the optos to tell them that the witch is down. So when you install this, you'll see that the angle bracket points back and up from that piece, and then the witch goes on the front of that. So you'll put this piece on first, then you'll screw the witch onto that piece with the screws provided. The witch is made out of resin. If you crank it down too tight, it will probably chip the resin and pull it out. You can use a larger screw if that happens. Just be careful. The witch doesn't need to be attached very securely or very cranked down very hard, because there's nothing really that touches it or is going to make it come off of this bracket. So just the barely tight should be more than enough to hold it in place. Of course, be careful, very careful of the fingers. Those are very fragile. We've reinforced them as much as possible, but they are still easy to break. And then you'll have the witch ready to go. So now we're under the play field. Of course, the game should be off. You'll take the glass off, raise the play field, and we're going to look at installing the controller box. So I have my controller down here. It's not in the case, but obviously the same sort of connections that you'll have. So this is the power plug, and that's going to connect right down here at the bottom of the play field. There's a bundle of wires down here, and if you look in there, you're going to find one black sheathed wire with blue and black, and on the other end of that, mine's sort of tied up here, is a blue and orange striped wire. And that's for the spotlight circuit. So you can see I have one power plug already installed for a different mod. You're just going to separate one end of this and plug this connector in, just like the one I have is already installed. We're going to route those wires up the side here, and you'll see the there's a mounting plate here for an Opto I/O board, expansion board that's here. The controller is going to mount on the back side of this, where my finger is. So that's where you're going to route the wires to. Then you're going to want to install the Opto bracket. You can see the threaded rod for the witch needs to align and go right through both of these Optos. When we get to the alignment procedure, you'll be able to see that there are green lights on these Optos that light up once the rod is properly placed through them. So this is the Opto that comes with the game. That's the upper sensor for the witch, and then we also have an upper and a lower sensor for the witch. So this gets mounted on here with those two screws and nuts that I showed you earlier, and there are some holes that those go through. So you just mount it. These are loose right now to be able to align them. And what you want to do is, once this is installed, you want to align these up and down, this alignment, to make sure that the rod's in the middle of them. Then we're going to do an alignment that adjusts the position of this whole bracket so that it's in line with both the original Optos and then these two. Okay, so once we've installed this bracket, we're going to look at the top of the playfield to install the witch and the flames. So skip ahead a little bit now. You should have your witch installed on your new bracket. I know in part of the video it shows a middle bracket. We now have this composite bracket. And you should use the two screws and the bracket that came installed on the witch. You're going to uninstall those, install this bracket onto the base first using the screws that were originally used for the original witch, and then you'll install the witch to this bracket using the screws that we provided, that were attaching this bracket to the witch when it was delivered to you. Now, this is a little bit of a complicated part. You need to fish the wires down through the mechanism. So one thing you're going to want to do is make sure that the wires coming out of the witch have this sort of orientation. They're going to go over to the side and then back. And you can just bend them with your fingers, because we're going to thread this wire. You follow it down here through the right between the two posts and out the back of this mechanism. Let's see if I can show that here. Yeah, that's a good shot of it. So you can see it goes all the way down through there, and I don't think it's going to let me focus, but there's your view there. So you can do that without any other tools or accessories. You can just push it on down through there. You're going to do that with the witch, and then you're going to do that with the flames as well. Flames will have their plug on it, and the flame wire is going to go sort of off to the front here. Let's see if I can arrange it real quick. So the wires come out of the left side of the flames, and those are going to go down the left side of this mechanism. This is the plate that the ball hits to trigger the witch hits, and then there's an LED right here and a bracket. So this is going between those two, and again down the side you can see there's a gap there down in the bracket, and that's where the flames go. So then you're just going to slide the witch up through the flames, and then the flames will mount on those two posts that are there. Just push it down onto those posts, and you'll have the witch sticking out through the center of the flames. Let me adjust. So I've pushed the flames down onto those two onto those two mounting posts, and then the witch is coming up through the center. You're going to want to take the witch and basically do the reverse installation procedure. Let me see. Okay, I just had to adjust mine there. So you're going to take the witch and thread the rod down through. Let's see if I can get yeah, there's a hole down there in between the two posts. So you're just going to push this through that hole, and you're going to want to make sure that the wire for the witch is pushed down in there. You might have to grab it from underneath the playfield, but basically make sure that it's going down through the back in between those two posts. You'll put the witch in its hole and just lightly press it down. I say lightly, but it will take a little bit of force just to get it started. And the bracket that the witch sits on has 2 holes in it for those 2 posts that stick up. So you just want to align it on those posts. And once it's aligned, you can push it down a little bit. You can see my hat broke. I think it was because I dropped it. Don't remember. But this can also happen if you're using the hat to move the witch. So better to push on its shoulders when you're going down. And if you need to lift it up, grab the whole thing on its body and pull it up. If the witch is down and you need to get it up, you can do that in the test mode. It's under settings, mechanism test, I think it's called, and then witch test. And you can use the up and down buttons, the volume buttons on the door to raise and lower the witch. So you can raise it up and then leave it in that position to easily get it in and out. So that's the flame and the witch installation, and then we need to go back under and connect all the wires. So back under the playfield now, you'll have one wire coming out the side here. Let's see if I can focus on that. So this is basically the top side of the playfield we're looking at, right? So down in the mechanism, the top wire that's coming out is going to be for the flames, and then if you look on the back of the mechanism, there'll be a wire coming out, sort of pointing it out here. That's the witch wire. So you're going to take your controller box, which should be sort of dangling down here from the power cord, and you're going to want to plug in the flames and the witch to those 2 power plugs, or those 2 3-pin plugs. Then you're going to take your short opto cables. I have mine attached to this other controller, and you're going to plug one end into the opto and then one end into the controller. This again is the top opto, the closest to the playfield, and this is the bottom opto. Once those are plugged in, just route your wires around. The one wire you want to be really specific of the routing is the witch wire. It needs to be bent like I showed when we were installing the witch, and you're going to want to make sure that the wire has significant slack there for the witch to go up and down. So right now mine's a little tight because there's still too much wire above the playfield. You just want to make sure you fish it down through there and that it has enough slack. It will be long enough, so you just need to make sure that when the witch goes up, that there's room for the wire to be pulled up a little bit and then to come back down a little bit. So once all these are plugged into the controller box, you can mount the controller box on top of this metal plate here. Use the Velcro that's included and zip tie everything up, make it nice and neat. And then you're going to want to do the alignment of the witch, and we'll look at that next. So we have the game turned on now. We have the coin door open, and we're going to want to go into the test menu, full menu, tests, device tests, witch test. Okay, so what you're going to see in here are a couple lights, witch down and witch up. Those are the optos that are built into the game, and we'll want to see those light up, and then you're going to want to see the green lights on the optos here light up. Give me 1 second. So you can see right now the threaded rod is all the way up here, so the witch is in the up position. We're going to want to lower that, and you can use the volume buttons on the door to do that. One way sends the witch up, one way sends it down. If your witch won't move, it might be that it's too far up and you just need to push it down a little bit. And you can see now that the rod is through this upper opto sensor, which is the one that comes in the game, that my light is green on the witch up home position. Now we can use the up and down, or another option is to just push the witch, reach around the playfield here and push the witch down, which may be a better option because these optos probably aren't aligned perfectly yet. So you don't want the rod to automatically come down and get stuck on one of those. So probably a better option to push it down. And you can see, okay, it makes it through that opto and go all the way down, and you can see it's going to hit that opto there. So we want to adjust by pulling this one down to align it, and it would go all the way to that. I think my cord here is stuck, so that's one thing you want to pay attention to, is making sure that the cord is coming through behind the witch. Mine's sort of off to the side. I know it's probably hard to see, so I need to go back in and maybe pull the witch out and realign it so it's coming out through the back of the bracket. Let's see if I can get a better shot in here. So you can see mine's off to the side here. It needs to be coming right through the back of the bracket. And then, give me 1 second. Okay, so then we're going to be able to align these optos. Now the optos for the Witch mod are not going to light up green until you're out of the test menu. The power to the spotlights is cut off when you're in the test menu. So there's no power to the Witch at this point. So you can exit the test menu. Now that you have it lightly aligned, and you can see the Witch moves, we're going to want to go in and push it back down, and you can see the green light lit up on that first opto, and it's flashing a little bit because I don't have the perfect alignment yet. And if mine were able to go all the way down, it would light up the green light on this bottom opto. So what you're going to want to do is continue to adjust the optos by sliding them back and forth. But the other adjustment, and this is suggested by Jersey Jack, is to bend the bracket that the entire opto plate sits on. So you can see it's very flexible, and you can use this bracket that we supplied to go ahead and twist and bend and rotate this bracket until the lights come on both optos. Again, mine's not all the way down there, so it's not lighting up that one opto, but you can see just about makes it sometimes. So that's what you're looking for, to have both green lights on all the way. And again, just give it ever so slightly a tweak in one direction, the other. You can push the whole thing up, you can push it down, rotate it. Just continue to adjust this bracket until everything's in alignment. You want to go back into the Witch test menu and make sure that you're still getting the correct light for this upper Witch home opto. It's pretty forgiving, so as long as it's in this sort of orientation. Let's see. That's probably a good shot there. And then these are a little shorter, but still should be able to get them to align through there. You just don't want the rod to be hitting the optos when the Witch is going up and down in this testing. So just make sure that that doesn't happen. But once you get these all aligned, you're going to be ready to go. I mean, that's the last step. You can test the Witch going up and down, and then you can start a game and make sure that the Witch lowers down, and you should be ready to go. When the Witch is raised, the lights on the Witch will light up and the flames, and when it's down, then those should cut off. You'll know that everything's working by seeing that, and if it's not, then it's one of these optos. If mine were turned on right now, the lower opto would not be triggered, and that would cause the flames to be in a state that's incorrect. It wouldn't know if the Witch was up or down right now. It would be in a state that's in between those two, so it won't be able to properly light up the Witch and the flames. So that's the most important thing, is aligning this bracket and making sure the rod goes through those two optos. That's pretty much it. I would just take your time, pay attention to where the wire is running for the Witch. You can use the Witch itself to manually move it up and down to make sure that the wire that's coming out through the back of the Witch has significant slack to go up and down. You may have to tweak it with your fingers a little bit just to bend it to get it to come back through the back of that plate there. And again, mine's coming off to the side. That's not correct. So I'm going to raise my Witch up and use like maybe a long spudger or some sort of screwdriver or tool to push it into the right position and pull it down through to get it aligned properly. So there you go.